cake batter on the face, masculine features. And I truly, honestly believe that they be having these masculine features because of all that masculine energy. It just produce sharp, sharp, sturdy, sturdy chins, and I believe it's all in the energy, man. I really do. I believe that masculine energy is distort their features. And look, all the cake batter on the face.
So, shout outs to accountable commentary. He's actually onto something. Uh, the thing is I'm gonna read a hadith about this, and I think that's the reason why I didn't even entertain women in the West, because I just really wasn't attracted to them. And I often questioned myself, like, damn, is there something wrong with me? And then someone pulled me to the side. I remember when I first left, someone pulled me to the side, and it was a woman. It was a woman. She was from the Pacific Islands. And she said, she didn't even know me, but she said I looked familiar or I looked like someone. And she said that she liked my demeanor. And she's like, your demeanor is just like calm, cool, chill, relaxed, and you stay out the way type thing. And I was just like, dang, you know, because it just, yeah, it just seemed like wasn't really attracted to women in the States. Um, and I guess my energy, and as they say, my aura or whatever they call it, it repelled them. But it did, like, the women who did have femininity, they were drawn to me a lot of the time. But that was very rare. It was very rare that you would find that. I think the last time I found that in the States is when I was buying shoes. When I was buying, I was buying some damn running shoes. And I found that. But then, other than that, I didn't find it. But basically, there's a hadith, and it says, "An Abi Abbas marfu'ah la'ana Rasulullahi mustashabihati." Let me repeat. La'na Rasulullahi sallallahu alayhi wasallam mutashabihati min nisa'i bi rijali wa mutashabihina minal rijali bi nisa'i. Riwayat Bukhari. So it says, it is on the authority of Ibn Abbas Marfu on the Messenger of Allah alayhi salatu salam curse women who imitate men and men who imitate women. This hadith shows that it is unlawful for either sex to imitate the other. Such imitation causes deviation from their natural disposition that Allah has created people upon, and is an alternation of Allah's creation. A woman imitation of man increases the secretion of male hormones within her over that of female hormones, and thus she loses her original female nature. Her husband will then not be interested in her and will desire someone else, and she too will desire someone else. Likewise, when man imitates woman, the female hormones within him increase, and he loses the characteristics and particularities of manliness. His wife will thus have an aversion to him, and he will have an aversion to her. Both of them will incline towards abnormality, and the community will morally disintegrate, um, and be internally destroyed. This in turn will indicate the ruin of the entire Ummah and is being deprived of the right to life. It will be swept away by deadly diseases and lethal, destructive illnesses. So I read that to say that, AC was on to something, because I noticed that. When I saw these women getting tattoos, when I saw these women getting septum rings and things like that, I'm like, bro, they don't even look like women anymore. Like, I'm like, man, it's hard to tell if they're women, at times. I was just like, the only thing that gives away that they're women is the fact that, um, their long hair. And another thing I want to say as well is that uh, with this with this happening, it just became a thing that, like, bro, like, keep your distance. Uh, there was one woman, and that's why I decided to work remote, man. She used the F word in like every single sentence.
Face.
I was like, dang, like she can't control herself. Like, she can't control her words. Every single sentence they use the F word in. So I was just like, bro, this is just sad, you know? And yeah, man, I was just like not really attracted to them because I, how should I say this? I didn't realize it had a physical effect on them, the way that they were acting, until I read in this book that I'm reading right now. I didn't realize that that affected their physicality. And um, we fast forward to the Brandon Jamal situation and the Drew Afaulo situation. Like, her vitriol, her hatred for men is so high. She made a name, basically, off of hating men. People would have her on shows, and she just made a name off of just hating, bashing men. Okay? She made a whole, basically, a franchise off of doing that. And when you look at her, bro, honestly, I mean, let's be honest. Her husband to be or whatever, let's just say he's a eunuch. I hate to say it, but he's a eunuch, and he's the one in the relationship that is playing the feminine role. You can even see, I haven't really seen any pictures of him or whatever, but you can just see by the pictures that this guy is just so meek, so like, you can tell that she's the man and unfortunately he's the woman. And then when you look at Drew Afalo's followers, they all have those similar characteristics. I don't have time to go through all her followers or anything like that. I don't have time to look at all the response videos for her, by her followers in regards to Brandon Jamal. I don't have time to do that, okay? But what I notice is that they all have similar characteristics. They all have these manly features. You know, it's sad. And there was even one woman on my page. She's probably lurking on my page still. This one Somali woman telling me to show my face and stuff like that. Bro, I'm too handsome for me to even show you my face. But believe me, I have no feminine features in my face, my time in my time living in this part of the world has done me, if anything, made me more manly. Okay, and I'm going to Dagestan in November, so that will even contribute more to that. You know, so like the thing is, and that's another thing about these the quote unquote sisterhood or the quote unquote feminist space is that you will never catch them go to countries where there is a hierarchy and men are on the top. Men are controlling things. But at the same time, women are working, women are in business and things like that, but they still are holding down a household, and they're still doing it in a feminine, calm, cool manner. They're still, producing children, still keeping their generation alive. You will never see you. They're still women. You can tell that they're still women. Of course, there's a couple of exceptions. Don't get me wrong. There's a couple of exceptions. Globalization, unfortunately, is inevitable, and you're going to see it in every single place, no matter where it is. That's just one thing that you have to come to terms with. That wherever you go in the world, this is just how it works. Wherever you go in the world, there is going to be some kind of form of globalization, but it's not going to be like how it is in the West. It's not going to be how it is in Sweden, Denmark, Finland, Norway, uh, Spain, Germany, France, Italy, Great Britain, Canada, Belgium, and the United States. Okay? It's going to hit more places. It's going to hit some places more than others. Okay? So keep that in mind. Okay? When they say all women are the same, the thing is that the women they're referring to are the women, in my opinion, the women on their fitra, on their natural disposition. Because the women who imitate men and want to be masculine and stuff like that, they're definitely not the same. They're definitely something else. They're a whole different creation now. You know what I mean? So um, that's the thing. It's like with this whole situation with Brandon Jamal and Drew Afaulo, you see that she wasn't able to take the smoke, so she had to call her followers to mass report him. And the crazy thing about it is that's what her followers do. When her followers are displeased with something, what they'll do is they'll tag her in a video. They'll say at Drew a follow, and then she'll proceed to you know, basically bash the man in the video, talk about his looks, talk about all of these things. That's one of the features I noticed when it comes to Drew Afalo and her followers. You know, it's kind of weird, but this is just what they do. You know, um, so one thing is that what I noticed is that uh, this whole situation it shows what time these women are on, and it just shows that here's the thing. It just shows that these women do not want to. These women, he, let's just say a man was a manly man. He took care of business. He held it down. He, organized himself, arranged himself, got everything in order in such a way that was, you know, a productive member of society. I don't even think they would like that man. I don't even think, for example, Sadia Khan, because she's a grifter as well. Sadia Khan, she says something like, basically that if a man had finances and stuff like that, that you would get a woman who's meek, submissive, and things like that. But that's BS. And the reason why that's BS is we can see so many examples of it play out where the finances don't keep them from cheating. The finances don't keep them from looking elsewhere. You even see, you know, Aisha Curry. She even said that she wasn't really feeling Steph Curry at all. Okay? In fact, she didn't even want to get married to bro. But guess what? Bro had the bag. So this is what I'm saying. You know, she in herself, when you look at her, she is kind of like masculine, you know. It- it- she's someone I wouldn't go for personally, you know. Me personally, and I don't want to do a video on it. Maybe I'll do a physiognomic. What do they call it? Physiognomic video. Maybe I'll do that, showing different facial features of women who I believe that are still on their fitra, and women who I think are masculine or whatever. Maybe I'll do a video about that. In fact, maybe I'll do a live about that. And her physiognom or whatever they call it, physiognomically, I have to look up the word. I forgot how to pronounce it. But it's just not appealing, bro. Like me, I have a certain aesthetic I like, you know, and a lot of and that's one thing too that mostly white American men were saying, and also uh, black American men were saying about me. They were like, "Oh, you're too picky. Oh, you're too this, that, and the other." And those were the ones who wanted to partake in the foolery with the Beledro and Denedro women. You know, even, and I hate to say this, but even with Muslim women, because they're so masculine and things like that, it just wasn't going to work. For example, I'll give you prime examples, and then I'm going to end this video. Prime example was there were certain women who, were interested in marrying me. I'm like, no, I'm not marrying you. Like, I'm not marrying them. One had a septum ring, like a nose ring, and it wasn't part of her culture. So I said, no, I'll pass. You know what I mean? There were many like that, okay? They were mostly converts, so I'm like, yeah, I'm not dealing with that baggage. I'm not dealing with that kind of stuff. I've been through a lot of crap. I'm not going to tell you the things that I've been through. That's neither here nor there. But with the things that I've been through, I know that that's something I have to deal with in in like my heart is something I have to deal with, and I can't project that onto other people. The problem is with these women is that the things that they've been through, right? They project it onto the people that they're usually dating or usually marrying. And yeah, I don't got time for that crap, bro. Like, I really don't have time for that. So yeah, you have women who wanted to like marry me, and it's like, bro, I'm not marrying you, because like I hate to say it, bro, but maybe if I was, you know, ethnically and tribally like American, in the sense that I was like a white American, or in the sense that I was an African descendant American, then yeah, I would probably marry them. But bro, I'm a Sahelian through and through, 100%. Okay, I can do my lineage all the way back to my great 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 grandfathers. I can do that if I wanted to. Like, I can do my genealogy. I can ask one of my relatives, like, yo, can you give me my genealogy? And they'll trace it back to one ancestor from Futa Toro. Okay, I can do that. But the problem is that, bro, like, with that being said, there was nothing I was going to really gain from like entertaining them. And it also it wasn't just one type of convert. It was Hispanic converts where I was like, hell no. It was white converts, I was like, hell to the no. And it was also um, the African descendant converts where I was like, hell no as well. You know what I mean? And people were like, oh, you're generalizing this, that, and the fourth. And I'm like, bro, I've seen too many examples of their foolery for me to know that it's not going to work. Okay. So, with this being said, I just want to leave this. I think I may go live and do a video on physiognomically, because, AC saying that he really opened up my eye in that. And it made me refer back to that hadith. But anyhow, Foolish signing out. Leave your thoughts, leave your comments. Inshallah.